Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I do apologize that I did not get a video up last week. I had some uploading issues. I was trying to do some shorts and it kept trying to put them as regular videos. I don't know what happened, but we are back with a video, full-length video. I'm still working on the whole shorts vibe, but I'm excited to bring back something that I had started, I want to say 2 years ago, when I was kind of doing a lot of videos, and that is this book right here. And I will link the original playlist that I started. This is my great aunt's. Is she my great aunt? My great aunt, Auntie is what we called her. Her name was Nyla Mae Duncan, and this is her recipe book. And she worked for a paper company, either her or my uncle, I can't remember, worked for a paper company, and she typed everything. And so she went through all of her mother's recipes and all the stuff and started typing them on scrap paper and made this binder of all these recipes. And I started cooking from it. And 3 recipes for today, all 3 of them come from this book. And I want to say that most of these recipes are pre-1970s, is when she was doing the most of this. And I mean, there might be some in the 80s, but some of these are even older than that. Some of these go back to early 1900s, 1920s. There may be, because some of them are family recipes. Like there's one in here that she says her grandmother. So that would have to have been late 1800s. So there's some really old traditional recipes in this. And so these are 3 very, very simple recipes. And I was in an apple mood. I had some apples that needed to be made into something. I had bought them to go in the freeze dryer. Had not gotten some of them done. And so I chose 3 recipes out of this book to try. They were all fantastic, all very simple, and I am bringing those to you today. So the first one she has called apple brownies. This is not a brownie recipe like we know of a brownie. This is very much like an apple cake. My kids loved it, but it is very much a, maybe even considered a coffee cake, but it was very fluffy but light in flavor. So I'm going to say this is an apple cake. Super simple recipe, chopped up, 1 cup of chopped apples, which is equivalent to about 1 apple because I had some large apples. And she does call for 1/2 cup chopped nuts. I didn't put it in there. This is also very much a dump and go. Her instructions are all very, very simple. Literally mix butter, eggs, sugar, and vanilla. Add flour and mix thoroughly. Stir in apples and nuts. Bake in a greased 8x8 inch pan at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. And that's pretty much what I did. I just put all the ingredients together at one time. And it is a 1/2 cup butter, 1 egg, which you will see me doing here, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup self-rising flour. So this was interesting that she did denotate self-rising flour. I'm not sure how old self-rising flour is. Just an FYI. It's probably something I should look up. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup chopped apples, 1/2 cup chopped nuts. I did spray my pan before baking instead of greasing it, but it's pretty much the same thing. I'm pretty sure when she wrote this recipe, they would have just taken like some Crisco and swiped around the pan. So then you put it in the pan and you bake it, and it did take about 40 minutes. So that was kind of spot on. And then we are going to move on to the next one, which was, let's see, not that one. I've got my pages marked. Okay, so this one was the pumpkin apple ring. Now, I did not do this in a bundt cake. I actually did this in small loaf pans But this is a very much like a tender pound cake. So again, it's cake-like. And it definitely came out that way. So this one, in a mixer bowl, cream together sugar and butter. Add eggs one at a time, beating well after each addition. Blend in apple and pumpkin. Stir together flour, baking powder, soda, salt, and spices. Add to pumpkin mixture, stirring till well combined. Turn into greased and floured 8-inch fluted tube pan and bake in 350-degree oven for 55 minutes. Cool in pan 10 minutes. Remove from pan and cool on rack. Sift powdered sugar over cooled cake. Now I just put everything into a mixer bowl again. And I did use the Granny Smith apples so that they would be a little bit more tart, because this did have quite a bit of sugar. It was 1.5 cups sugar, 1/2 cup butter or margarine, 2 eggs, 2 medium apples, pared, cored, and shredded. I just chopped them really finely. I'm sure if you shred them, it would have mixed throughout, but the chopping worked fine, absolutely. And that's about 1.5 cups. 1 cup canned pumpkin, 2 cups all-purpose flour, and then it's teaspoon baking powder, half teaspoon baking soda, half teaspoon salt, or 1/4 teaspoon salt, half teaspoon ground cinnamon, half teaspoon ground nutmeg, half teaspoon ground cloves, and 1/4 teaspoon ground ginger. I'm sorry, 1/4 teaspoon ground cloves, 1/4 teaspoon ground ginger. And then powdered sugar for the top. I did not have ground cloves, so I used allspice, which you can do a 1-to-1 ratio, but it has a little bit more of that nutmeg and cinnamon flavor in it anyway. And it turned out great, actually. You can save your apple cores and peels to do like apple scrap vinegar or apple jelly or something like that. I do want to make some apple jelly. I did not save these scraps and cores because I knew I did not have time to make jelly. However, I still have some apples and that definitely need to be fixed. So I definitely want to try making some apple jelly. That's one thing I've never made is apple jelly. My mom made it, and she used to make white grape jelly when I was young, and it was so good. But I have never done it. And I would honestly love to get into making my own vinegars and stuff, but I am not there, y'all. There are so many things that you can use to use all of your produce and meat and products. And in my romanticized version of farm life and homestead life, you would use all of it. And, you know, at least mine usually goes out to the chickens. I think I actually did throw these in the garbage can without thinking about it, and I was not going to dig through there and dig them back out. But I do try to give the majority of my stuff, my scraps, to the chickens. So I feel like in that manner, it doesn't go to waste. I turn it into eggs. And if I don't give it to them, it goes on the compost pile. So again, it's fertilizing the soil and ultimately the garden. However, like I said, in that romanticized vision of my goal life, it would be what I guess everyone thinks of in that easy living. Although this is not easy living. It's very difficult because you have to do everything from scratch. But it would be using every last bit of what you have and what you produce. And that would mean making my own vinegars out of scraps and making my own jellies out of scraps and trying to get every last little bit that I can use out of all of these things before I give it to the chickens. Because even once you make the jelly or the vinegar or whatever, you can pull those scraps back out and they've lost a lot of their nutrition value, but you can give them to your chickens. And actually the vinegar that they would turn into would be great for your chickens. So in that ideal way of living, I would use all of this and make other things. And sometimes I think I'm fairly decent at that, like especially with the broth and the bones and things like that. I've gotten in that habit, although I don't do it all the time, and I need to do it again because I am out of broth for the first time in 5 years. I think I'm out of broth. I would, in essence, like to be really good at doing that all the time. So my goals for this coming year, which I am making some changes this coming year to my market schedule that are going to, especially my market schedule, things that are going to hopefully allow me to get into a better schedule to do some of those things, because I will not be going and traveling and doing the market quite as much. But in also doing that, I do need to increase my social media presence and maybe do a market stand at my house. I don't know. We will see what the future holds. But my goals, because I have started making, working with yeast breads. I'm not into the sourdough thing yet. I don't know if I will get into the sourdough thing. I think I want to just get into the home-baked breads at this point, versus the sourdough, which I know is better for like your gut health. But I want to, that's the last like process thing that I really want to get us off of, would be the breads and pastas, which we're just not using pasta right now. Very, very rarely. I can't even remember the last time I made a pasta dish, which I have some pasta in the pantry. And I need to make some spaghetti and stuff for my folks, but because I can't eat it, I've been making things that we all enjoy, just because it's easier than making multiple recipes or dinners or whatever. But I do need to use up some pasta, and I may do the pantry challenge again this year. I'm not sure. I did not do it this past year, but I may do it this year so that I can use up some of that stuff. But it's going to look vastly different because of the way I'm having to eat. These recipes right here, I tasted them, and it was literally like the Food Network shows where you see them like eat a bite. That was it. That was all I had. I just tasted them to make sure they were good and they were okay before I gave them away. My kids ate a lot of it, so they were taking the apple bread. They demolished it. I ended up making 2 of those recipes because they loved it so much. They demolished the first batch and then requested me to make it again and finish that batch. They ate some of the brownies, which is what I am making now. So let me find my space on that. They did not eat a ton of the apple pumpkin ring, and I think it's just because I should have taken some of it and frozen it. They ate it once a day, and so they ate the other 2 first, and then once it gets so long, we won't really touch it. It was like a week, and they were like, I was like, okay, it's time for this to go away. So I should have frozen some, and I'm usually good about that when I make multiple batches of things, but I didn't, so my chickens got that. It was fine. They enjoyed it. So we're now making the 3rd recipe, and that is the pumpkin blondie brownies. And that is 1/2 cup butter, 2 cups brown sugar, 1 16-ounce can of pumpkin, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla, 1.5 cups flour, 1.5 cups oats, baking powder, soda, salt, pumpkin pie spices, which I did not have, so I used the spice ratio from the previous recipe, which was the allspice, the nutmeg, and the cinnamon. And I think I even added vanilla to the other one, and it may not have called for it. And this calls for chopped walnuts. I don't ever use nuts in my cooking. You all know that. I'm allergic, so we don't use them. 1 to 1.5 cups butterscotch flavored chips, which I did not have, so I used chocolate chips. So mine became pumpkin chocolate chip blonde brownies, or whatever. The texture on these was not as brownie-like as I would like, but the kids enjoyed them, so that was fine. And, the texture may have been different back then of what she expected a brownie to be, because, brownies have definitely morphed in the past, like, I want to say 30 or 40 years. So I will type up all of these recipes and link them in the description box below. They were very evocative of fall flavor. which I loved, and they had a really good reception with everyone. But I loved making these recipes from this book. It was very special to me, and I definitely want to do more of that. And as you can see, I have actually marked a lot of spots in this book. So I will be making some more of these, and we will mark those and put them. And there's one in here that I came across, and it was like Sex with Robert Redford cake or something like that. I've got to find that one and make that one just because. But I am looking forward to making more from this book, and I hope you will come along for that with me as you are watching me put these blonde brownies together here on the screen. I also want to get back to filming where I'm talking to you while I'm doing things. I did find my microphone that went missing, so I'm going to practice with that coming up. I know the last time I had lost one, and it was a 2-pack, and I used the second one in the pack, and it did not film the sound. So I don't know what happened with that, but I found the original one. It had fallen off into one of my jar crates, and I didn't realize it. So I'm going to try that again. I don't know. I still have a couple videos recorded where we will be doing voiceovers, so it may be a few weeks from now. But we do have coming up, if you've made it this far, thank you. I know I'm not talking about the video as much as I am just talking to you today, so the video is a little ASMR, I guess, in the background. But I do have some Thanksgiving prep for Make Ahead to help me out on Thanksgiving, because that is essential, because my Thanksgiving week is crazy. But Thanksgiving is actually next week. I was supposed to do this one last week, the voiceover, and had the trouble with getting the shorts and got frustrated and didn't end up doing the voiceover. And so technically that pre-Thanksgiving stuff should have gone up this week, but it didn't. So since Thanksgiving is next week, I may do it on Sunday. Originally, my goal like 2 years ago was to do videos on Thursdays and Sundays. And this year when I came back to it, my goal was just once a week. And then I started trying to do some shorts, and that was like my second video of the week. But that's just been recently, and I haven't gotten the hang of shorts. I've got some recorded that I'm going to try again with, but I am going to probably aim for that Thanksgiving Make Ahead to go up on Sunday, and then that way, if you need those ideas, you will still have plenty of time, you know, a few days to execute that. If not, it'll be great for Christmas get-togethers as well. But I am going to do that because one of the things I have to do Thanksgiving week, next week, is kill my turkeys. We have not processed our turkeys yet. So our turkey will be very, very fresh on Thanksgiving Day. We also have a huge craft vendor show, 2 of them on Thursday or Friday and Saturday following Thanksgiving. We have to go set it up on Wednesday and then be there Friday and Saturday. And Stephen and I are split, and we're in 2 different locations on Saturday. And then Sunday we have a huge parade that my daughter is in, and where I am driving the float because it is our truck and trailer from the farm. And it's just a little bit crazy. So plus daughter's dance on Monday. Like, I needed to be ahead for Thanksgiving, so I prepped some of the things ahead of time. So that will help us out. So I will hopefully be bringing that video to you on Sunday. So anyway, lots of new things coming up for the end of this year and into next year, and I hope you will come along for the ride. So thanks, and I will see you next time.